dynamic table expression based on the items, whatever you select it in the slicer, still it remains constant, right? It's kind of that itself kind of a dynamic. Next one is all function, all selected, all except, and keep filter also somewhat similar to all except. The selected value, we will take a look at the selected value now. Okay. So keep filter, we'll discuss it. Okay, a little later. Okay, now I just go here and okay. So I'm going to create a static table this time to demonstrate the selected value function. So how do I create a static table? For example, here I go to the home ribbon here. So currently I'm in the report view. In the home ribbon, you will find something like enter data. So when you click on the enter data, you will find it'll allow you to create table. Create table. Here you can specify whatever you want. For example, in our example, I'm going to say total revenue, net margin, and then cost of goods sold, something like that. Okay. And at the bottom, you can see the name of the table. This is static table. Here I just say the dynamic M table. Okay, measure table. Okay, I'm going to hit the load button. If I go to the data view, if I go to the data view here, in the data view, dynamic M table, right? This is the, okay, so here dynamic doesn't make any sense. Okay, let's go static table here, M table, okay, static M table. So don't get confused with dynamic. So this is simple table, okay, I created it. See, usually what we do to create a table, we load the data either from Excel or CSV file or from RDBMS, SQL Server. So in this case, we have entered the data here itself. We create a table within the Power BI desktop itself using enter data. Fine. So table got created. The column name is column 1. Let it be there. I'm not going to do anything. Now I switch to the report view. Step 1 is over. And in step 2, okay. First step is you create a table. So I'm going to create a slicer here. In this slicer, the newly created static table. Yeah, this is a static table. And here, I'm going to drop this column 1 here. The column 1 consists of 3 values, isn't it? COGS, net margin, and total revenue. Fine. So this is my slicer. In this slicer, so usually we drag and drop a column from a table into this slicer visual. The same thing we did it, but only difference is this is a table we created it manually in the Power BI desktop itself. Okay, the column name is this one, and these are the 3 values are there in this column. Okay, now I'm going to create another visual, table visual. Here I just drop this values. Here I just put category, and then I put the same measure which we created, total sales EM. We are done. So here, if I select something here, it is not getting applied. Why? When I select any specific, it's not, because if you go to the model view, we did not create any relationship between this table and that table, right? The static table. What is the static table? This is static table. I created it. but there is no relationship, I created between the tables. Usually, only when we create the relationship between the table, we can, the slicer can apply the filter on other visuals. In this case, there is no relationship exists between these two tables. Hence, this static table is also called as a what? What do we call this as? Anybody has any idea? Yes, you are correct, Deepa. Okay, you have seen my other video. Okay, good. So this static table is called your disconnected table. In the interview, they'll ask you what is disconnected table, which means you did not create any relationship with this table. So you did not create any relationship uh, for this table. Okay, for this table. So we need to, usually we create the relationship between all the tables. It's kind of a standalone table because we did not create any relationship between the tables. So then how can I apply the filter? Okay. Okay, to answer that question, I will come back to you shortly. I'm going to create another visual, 1, 2, 3, chord visual. You know what is chord visual? The next one is I'm going to create a measure. So this is the chord visual. Next one is the modeling ribbon. I'm going to create a measure. Okay, here I'm going to say selected value. Column name and alternate result. So the column name here is, what is the static table name here? The static table which we created, static table itself, column 1. Okay. So selected value. If I give this itself, what happens? Will it work? Okay, it has been done, right? So the select new measure got created. Just give me a second, okay? Selected value, yes. Here, I just go and say selected value. This is the measure I created it. I just drop it here. Don't worry, I'll explain you. Initially, it is blank. And when I select COGS here, display the COGS here. If I select total revenue, display this one. Okay, cool. Just watch what I'm doing it. I'll explain you, okay? First step, remember step by step. The first step is create a static table. In that static table, we have only one column. That column is column 1. In that column 1, we have 3 values are there. So we just drop the column here. And here, 1 second here. Sorry. Just give me a second. I'm getting a call. Okay, sorry, I am back now. What we will do is here, I'm going to, yes, in this case, I'm going to create a new measure here, right? So in this case, this measure, I want to display the total sales along with, these values. Total sales, I want to display along with, these variables. For example, measure one. Here, I'm going to say, I'm going to define a variable. How do you define a variable? You need to prefix with var. var, it's a reserved word, okay? Get category is equivalent to this one example, okay? You can use it for various other use cases also, a selected value. And here what I do is the table name, static table. The static table column one. And then whenever you define a variable, you need to use a return, okay? And here the total sales M, comma, sales W04 category, okay? See, if you want to define a variable, you need to prefix with var. This is a reserved word, okay? This can be anything. The variable name can be anything. Again, there are some rules. How to create how to coin a name for a variable. You cannot start with the underscore, and underscore is possible. That we'll discuss it later. Okay, so this is how you can create a variable. Whenever you use a var statement, you need to use return also. Okay, so here we have created a variable. This variable is holding the value returned by the selected value. Okay, this is the one is returning here. See, wait, Kirti. That's why it simply watch here, and I'm going to summarize it. Okay, with that only you'll be able to understand. Okay, return, calculate, and here get cat, right? So yes, is equivalent to press enter. Oh, okay. Argument 2 in is required. Total sales M and category is equivalent to get cat. Okay, for this one is fine. And here we mentioned it correctly, right? Okay, otherwise I will just directly use sum of sales, but that doesn't make any sense. W04, sorry. I just remove this simply, yes, simply sales underscore W04 in the sales column. I have not yet done the coding. Okay, once I'm done it, I'll explain it. Don't worry. But remember the steps, whatever I did. It's all very simple step. Okay, fine. So now no error. I'll explain you. Don't worry. Measure one, I just drop it now. Or you can click it here. Remove. And here I just drop the measure one. So if I select the okay, so for example, if I select cost of goods sold and cost of goods sold, right, got displayed here. So it's okay. See, the idea here is we wanted to display the measures dynamically. Okay, for example, this is my visual. The basic columns are, these two columns are coming from my, so the first column is coming from a data set. The second one is from a measure. So give me the breakdown of sales by category. Yes, we are able to get the breakdown of sales by category. right? That is what we are able to get it here. So what is the next one? What is the next one, next step? Look here. See, whatever the value is, because these two, the slicer visual and this visual, right? This table and this table are not, we have not created any relationship, number one. And in that case, how do I apply this filter here, right? So here what happens is, in this slicer, whatever the value that I selected, that one will be captured by the function called selected value. That we tested it with this measure, right? The selected value. Look here. The selected value function, it's kind of a CCTV, right? Whatever you do, according to the report user, he doesn't know the ABCs of the DAX and all the other things. When you select this one, the net margin should get displayed here. So how do we know that? How Power BI can understand whatever value is selected, accordingly it has to display the corresponding measure. For that, we are using, okay, in this case, okay, fine. So in this case, yeah, so we can use a switch function. That is the best thing. Okay, let me do one thing. Measure one. Maybe it is confusing. Just give me a second. I will just. This is one thing. I'll give you another example. So this example is meant for applying the filter without using, without creating a relationship between the table. So that one I thought of starting it. But anyhow, I will show you, since you said, you are getting overwhelmed, I will show this example, okay? I'll just show you the measure too. So here, when I use, let's say I'm going to use switch function. The switch function, I'm going to use true because I'm going to use this one, okay? And here I'm going to use just watch. At this moment, you will not be able to understand. Okay, and here return is true, and here what I'm going to do is selected value. Sorry, this selected. Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll use. Let's not use some reserved word. Or we can use it directly here. Okay, the switch function instead of using the, but only when I use the, one second, I forgot the logic. Okay, for the time being, we will leave it as it is. Okay, so I'm going to press enter. I'm going to working on it. Okay, it's working fine. Okay, here the total net margin, total revenue. Okay, I should have used this name, total revenue. You don't have to. We can use different logics. This is directly I'm using it here. Okay, here the total revenue. Working on it. Okay, close it. So what happens is here, if I drop the measure to here, don't worry. I've not yet explained you. I'm just testing it out. So it is giving me the total revenue here, and net margin is different here. Okay. So in this case, see, okay, now the scenario, I'll explain you the use case. The use case here is the end user. So there is a requirement from an end user. They are asking you, because you're a developer, report developer, you're asking you, hey, give me, display all the measures which I want to see it, or whichever I use it, right? Whichever measures that I use it, you display it in the slicer. And based on the visual that, so based on the item that I selected, the corresponding measure should be displayed here. For example, if I click on the total revenue, it should display here. If I click on net margin, the net margin should get computed and displayed here. If I select cost of goods sold, that one get displayed here. Dynamically, you select the measures. Okay, dynamically you display the measures. So for that, how many steps that we used it? We have used step one. We have created a static table. There we had 3 columns. That column we have used it as part of slicer. Step one. Step one, static table creation. Step two is slicer. The static table column we used it here. And step three is create a visual, table visual or whatever it may be. Okay. And step four is this is for testing purpose. Whatever I selected here, whether it is getting displayed here. In this case, if you apply the, if you want to apply the filter, whatever you applied, whatever the filter that you selected here in the slicer, that should get applied on your table or other visuals. In this case, there is no direct relationship exists between these tables. We did not create any relationship. In that case, how it is possible, right? That is not possible, right? So what we are doing is we are using selected value function. It is very dynamic. Whatever the item that the user selects it here, without his knowledge, it captures it behind the scene. If he selects net margin, he selected net margin, then you display net margin here. He selected total revenue, you display the total revenue. He selected cost of goods sold, you just display the cost of revenue here. Okay. So in this case, what happened in step 4, what we did, we just created another measure. In this measure, this is for our testing purpose. Okay. But in, right. And the step 4, what we did, we have used switch function. Here we are using the selected value measure, which we used it previously as a filter here, right? If the selected value equal to total revenue, display the total revenue, compute the total sales and put it here. If it is a net margin, that's a different formula. For example, here I just put another condition here. Okay, here press enter, and then here I just say if the selected value is whatever the item that is selected in the measure. Listen, if that item, listen, you selected the net margin. Need to use double quote. Previously, the same thing I did it correctly, but since because of double quote, since I use single quote, it was throwing error. Here, what I do is total sales M minus we have discount, right? Total discount. Find out the total discount. Okay, subtract from here. Okay, that is what we need to do it here. Okay, so this is an exercise for you. Here, what you do is you can subtract the discount here. But here we don't have the discount, right? Okay, I'll just leave it as it is. I just go back to the data set and check if we have any discount column available in sales W04. But here it will use the measure only. Still working on it. Okay, let me just go here quickly check. We have discount column. Yeah, we have discount column, but here you cannot specify, right? Measure to total sales M minus discount sales W04. Yeah, here you can create another measure wherein you can find out the total discount. Okay, the total discount. How will you find out the total discount? You're not going to add the percentage. Here they mentioned about, yeah, here they mentioned about the discount in terms of values, not in terms of the percentage, right? So then you can add all the value, subtract it from your total sales. That is what your net margin. Got it? So here, that is what the step you need to do it. See here, I just put the comment here. The assignment is, the comment is double quote. Okay. Assignment is compute total discount value. I just put value, not percentage. Okay. And subtract it from total sales. Okay. So then you will get net margin. So in that case, what will happen is when the user selects net revenue in total revenue in the slicer, it displays the total revenue along with this one. If the user select net margin in the slicer, the net margin will get displayed. Are you able to get it or not? That is what is happening here. That is what we are doing it. So dynamically, you are allowing the user to select the measures or the KPIs, right? And then that KPI will get displayed alongside of this value. Okay. So you understood, right? The steps to summarize using selected value, we can dynamically capture the values selected by the user in the slicer. And then we can use that value to perform further computation, right? So this step is not required for you people to, for illustration purpose, I use this one, okay? You don't have to drop it here, but obviously we need to have this measure, okay? So selected value is a measure. That measure, we are using it in another measure, and then we are checking whether the user selected the net margin. Dynamically we are checking. We did not use variables and all. We are checking it. We can use variable. The first example I started with the variable, right? So you can, in that case, for example, you have a category column here. Let's say you have two different tables. One is holding a category column, or let's say you create a static table where you put category, these three categories, and whatever the category that they selected, display only that category here. So in that case, in this measure, you need to use the category equal to that variable. You remember the previous, you watch my video, you try that one also. So that one is to apply the filter directly from here, how to apply the filter directly. But even in that case, we are using selected value. That is one use case. Second use case is this one. If I want to display the measures or KPIs dynamically alongside the business columns, that is also possible with this approach. Maybe it is